Penelope, the wife who waited. Penelope was married to King Odysseus, and they loved each other very much. They lived a very happy life in their beautiful palace. It was built on top of a hill looking over the blue sea. Their bed had one leg made from a living olive tree. Their dining room was open to the sky so that they could look at the stars while they ate. They loved to walk together in the orchards and gardens around the palace. But one day, King Odysseus had to go away to war. "Wait for me," he told Penelope. "Wait for me and I will come back to you." Penelope promised to wait for him to return, no matter how long it took. And so she waited. 5 years went by, then 10. No one knew if Odysseus was still alive. Other people came back from the war, but Odysseus did not return. Penelope believed he would still come home, but other people weren't so sure. Lords started coming to visit Penelope. "Our country needs a king," they said. "Odysseus is gone. Marry one of us. You can pick who you like, and then we will rule together." "No, I promised Odysseus," said Penelope. "I only love him, and I knew he'd come home." After a few more years, the men said, "Either marry one of us now, or we'll take over the palace and throw you out." Poor Penelope. What could she do? Luckily, she was a very clever queen. "All right," she said. "I'll pick one of you to marry, but first I have to finish my weaving. I can't leave it half finished. If I get married, I won't have time for it. Let me finish it. Then I'll marry one of you." The men agreed. So every day Penelope sat weaving a piece of cloth. And then every night when no one could see, she pulled out all of the work she had done and started all over again. "Haven't you finished yet?" the men asked her, and she always said, "No, not quite. Just a little more time." "Please be patient. You wouldn't like to marry someone who leaves a job half done, would you?" After 20 years passed, Odysseus finally came home. He was tired and much older. He had arrived at the house dressed as a poor shepherd. He looked so changed that Penelope wasn't sure this was really her one true love. Other people had pretended to be Odysseus before, tried to become king in his palace. So she thought of a way to test him. "Welcome," she said. "I'll tell the servants to carry our bed into the courtyard so you can rest in the sun." But Odysseus saw through the trick. "How can you do that?" he asked. "Our bed has a leg cut from the living tree. You can't move it." "Odysseus," said Penelope, laughing with happiness. "It is really you. I've waited so long." Odysseus rid his land of all the other people who wanted to marry Penelope, and thanks to her clever trick, they lived happily ever after, and for a very long time. The end.